What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings of Best Served Podcast here with you today. Thank you for tuning in. Excited to be announcing the launch of Best Served on Film, which is our collaboration with the Flatirons Food Film Festival. We have with us today Sandor, Katz, who is the fermentation revivalist. We're going to hear from him, an icon for many of us chefs. The art of fermentation changed our trajectory completely thinking about fermentation. So I'm excited to siphon some superpower and some energy today. We have a 4-part series that we're launching on August 12th. Little teaser today. August 12th, we're going to have Steph Ferrari of the Migrant Kitchen on PBS on the show. Then the next week, August 19th, Elizabeth Federici and Kathleen Squires of James Beard, America's First Foodie. August 26th, we continue on with Chef Claudette Zepeda of El Jardin and Top Chef fame. And then finally, we wrap it up once again with Sandor, Katz, The Art of Fermentation, as I mentioned. So the 4-part series, Wednesdays, that is 1 p.m. Mountain Time. That is noon on the West Coast. That is 3 p.m. on the East Coast. We'll be going live with those shows. All right, we've got the table set. Sandor, you're out in Tennessee. I'm excited to see you. The hair is a little bit trimmed today. You're looking very
well.
svelte.
Sometimes it's more trim. Sometimes it gets wild. It varies.
I like it.
And here's the ferment of the moment is my garden just has so many cucumbers, and this is called a stuffed cucumber kimchi. And all that's stuffed about it is I cut these slits. 4 slits down the side of each one, and that just helps all the spice and the flavor and the brine penetrate to the center. And I can't stop eating these stuffed cucumber kimchis.
I love it. Kimchi is big for me. I actually, for a while, had a little company where we were doing kimchi, and a lot of that happened. The Art of Fermentation, when that came out, and I read that alongside the Brewmaster's Table, Garrett Oliver from Brooklyn Brewery fame's beer and food book, it really changed. And I spent almost a decade focused on food fermentation, beer fermentation, and coalescing those two mediums. So thank you for that. And I know a lot of other food fermenters at home or chefs that definitely changed for them. I wanted you to tell us, why fermentation? It is such a niche. You are so focused on a singular mission of food fermentation and have kind of, built a whole brand and a whole legacy around that. Why fermentation?
Well, let me just say that fermentation is not such a specific niche. Sure. In every culinary tradition, everywhere in the world, people ferment foods and beverages. And, I would say, my analysis of why it's practiced everywhere is the fact that, all of the food that we eat, all of the plants, all the animal products that we would call food are populated by microorganisms. And so microbial transformation is more or less an inevitability. And clever people in every part of the world, figured out how to make that practical, how to use that force that's on the food so that rather than it decomposing or, becoming toxic, they could sort of harness that to create compelling flavors, to make food more stable, to make food more easily digestible, to remove toxic compounds from food. To me, it's fascinating. And I think that, many of the greatest delicacies of the world are products of fermentation. And, you walk into a gourmet food store anywhere, and most of what you'll see are products of fermentation, because fermentation creates, such amazing flavors.
I could not agree more. One of the interesting things, I'm sure you've come across this, you tell people fermented food, they get a little scared. Stinky sauerkraut, kimchi, that doesn't feel like me. And then I always go to a place of, did you have yogurt in the last 2 days? Did you have chocolate in the last 2 days? Have you had coffee recently, right? So fermentation is a process as well as kind of the food products that you most commonly associate with them. So I think it's an interesting dynamic. What was your first experience of fermentation? What was that aha moment where you said, I have to go down this rabbit hole?
Well, my gateway into fermentation was sauerkraut. The year I moved to Tennessee in 1993, and the first year that I was gardening, we had an abundance of cabbage, and I knew that sauerkraut somehow was about preserving cabbage, and I literally looked in the joy of cooking, and I learned how to make sauerkraut from the joy of cooking. But that really is what sort of opened up the rabbit hole. And then I started thinking like, oh, okay, well, if sauerkraut's that easy, I wonder whether the pickled sour cucumbers that I grew up with are as easy as that. And they're a little bit more harder, just because cucumbers are intrinsically more difficult, but not that much harder. And then I started playing around with yogurt and some very elementary cheese making and country wines. And what I would say to people who have any interest in fermentation is, don't be afraid. Overcome the fear. Like all of us who were raised in the war on bacteria with the idea that bacteria are dangerous, conceptually fermentation is really challenging. Because people wonder, how can I be sure I'm going to have good bacteria growing in my jar of cabbage rather than something dangerous that might make somebody sick or kill somebody? But, what you have to recognize is that fermentation has been recognized for millennia as a strategy for safety, and it makes food safer. And as long as you understand the conditions that you need to create for the food that you are fermenting, so in the case of cabbage, that's simply getting it submerged under liquid, then there's no problem. There's no history of food poisoning or illness from sauerkraut, for instance. So don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to vary the process and be creative. Fermentation is ancient, fermentation is easy, and fermentation is safe.
That's it. Mic drop. I really appreciate it. We got a lot more to talk about on September 2nd. I'm chomping at the bit. I'm very excited about that. Thanks for taking a couple minutes for helping us announce the Best Served on Film series, our collaboration with Flatirons Food Film Festival. And we are going to be hearing more from Sandor Katz coming up September 2nd. Right. It's too far away, but we're going to talk fermentation. Just so you know, I'm going to get a couple fun ferments going here so we can geek out a little bit, because we're going to have a little bit more time. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Great. Appreciate it. You have a great rest of the day.
See you in a few weeks.
All right. Take care. All right. That's it. September 2nd, like we said, Sandor Katz will be back on the show, and check in with us on the Wednesdays through August, right? So once again, August 12th, we're going to be on. August 19th, we're going to be on. August 26th, we're going to be on. September 2nd. So those are the 4 parts of the series I want you to be a part of. We're going to be really talking to people who are focused on food film, food television, and the storytelling mechanism therein, which I am a huge fan and believer of. It's 2 of my big passions. If there was baseball in it, it'd be the big 3 for me, but food and film really are important to me. So I'm honored. Thank you to Julia Jun for the opportunity for us to collaborate. She's the executive director, and Megan, who's going to be behind the scenes. Actually, Megan, pop on here. We're going to ad lib here for a second.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Jensen.
Yes. So Megan, who is right on the board of the Flatirons Food Film Festival, local table tours, your work, and you've been involved for years and years and years. I was excited to get you collaborating. So you're going to be helping behind the scenes, popping up all the great comments and stuff, capturing the essence of every episode. And then we'll have Megan pop on in every episode, because I want a little bit of a takeaway from you, because you've been inside so much of what's happening. Are you excited about the series?
I am. It's really exciting, especially since so many of us are still stuck at home.
Yes.
And this festival is something that I've been participating in about 7 years now. So it's interesting to be able to participate in a new way this year.
Good. And we want to support fundraising so that we can continue to have the Flatirons Food Film Festival bring us amazing films, amazing filmmakers, and be that storytelling that really connects us to the humans that are out there doing amazing works. And so in the comments, you can check out some different ways to support the mission of the film festival itself. And we're excited. I mean, we're going to be coming at you. I really, really wish tomorrow we were launching this, because I am so pumped up. This is going to be a ton of fun. We have some really amazing award-winning people a part of this, and we're going to have a ton of exciting stories to tell. So check in. You'll hear a lot more from us, but we need your help to support the Flatirons Food Film Festival, to support the launch of Best Served on Film, and we're going to tell some stories. All right, that's it for today, everybody. Appreciate you. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Cheers.